So Larry's a resident in independent living. He's lived at Freedom Plaza for 14 years. I first got to know them through the sales process because they visited several times at the community. My first impression of Larry was what a friendly, outgoing, personable resident he was, not realizing his backstory, which is so impressive.
60 to 70% of all of our residents have some sort of military rank and affiliation. So it's an honor to have an American hero, which is who he is. And, you know, his story is just fascinating. He is the sweetest, kindest, most gentle man you would ever want to meet. It doesn't matter who you are, where you work, he is so kind to everybody.
We have lots of residents with great stories, but Larry's is probably one of the most remarkable I've ever heard.
My name is Lawrence Cleveland Chambers, AKA Larry, or my flight call sign was R-O-L-L-O, Rolo. The commanding officer gave me that nickname, and unfortunately, once that handle is laid on, it's a lifetime event. When I went to the Naval Academy, I was right out of high school. You had to take the exam. The congressman that nominated me to take the exam, I was number 22 alternate. He had 20 other guys ahead of me. I was the only one that passed the exam, so I got his nomination. Academically, I did very well, even though I was just out of high school. Truman had issued an executive order desegregating the armed forces. The staff was not against me, only the brigade.
I was 12 years old before I ever saw a public water fountain that wasn't marked. The first one I ever saw that wasn't marked at a department store, I was afraid to drink because I thought it might be the wrong one. We were all raised to know that you just don't drink from the wrong fountain. Those were the years that we grew up.
I called my detailer and I said, I'm looking forward to this. His answer to me was, boy, you didn't stand high enough in your rankings when we were captains. I'll never get to you. I sent in a postcard that said, I'll take command at sea, anytime, any place, anywhere, and send it in. A couple of months later, I got a call from my detailer asking, what the hell are you bothering me for? I am now head of this First Navy all-digital weapon system program. And I said, I'm busy. And he said, no, don't hang up. And because he had not been very kind the first time. And I said, well, I'll take it. And he says, don't you want to know what it is? I said, if it's command at sea, I'll take it. And he says, but it's home ported in Sasebo, Japan. I said, so? When I was skipper of Midway doing the evacuation of Saigon, we were in Philippines. I received orders to get underway and to leave your flight deck clean. The situation in Vietnam was deteriorating, and we knew that we were going to have to go down and participate. So we got out there for Operation Frequent Wind. The helicopter evacuation of U.S. forces, the Vietnamese had worked with the U.S. forces whose lives were in danger. We left them behind. Now we're involved in probably the largest helicopter evacuation that's ever been done. I picked up 10 Super Jolly Green Giant helicopters. These are these big HH-53s. We had 10 of those. When they came back aboard, they had on the average of about 200 people. That's 2,000 people that I'm now eating with each round trip. Everybody that came aboard, took them down to the hangar deck. We examined them medically, and we fed everybody. In the middle of the second day of the operation, there was a little airplane came out and started circling. And I knew what he wanted. He drops a note on board, and the note says, please rescue me. There were 7 souls in a 2-place airplane, only 2 people strapped in. If it ditches, it's going to flip over because it's fixed gear. You can't suck up the gear. He's going to have a problem trying to save his family and all. I call the air boss and says, okay, we're going to make a ready deck. He accused me of having lost my mind. And so I got on the ship's general announcing system and said, all air department and air wing personnel not on watch report to the flight deck. Now these are the people that know what the hell going on the flight deck. My thought was, he's either going to crash it on board with all of those people and all, or I'm going to give him a shot at it. Just after we turned into the wind and were steady up and we were about to give him a green light, 8 more Hueys landed right in the middle of the area that we had just cleared. And the air boss called and said, "What do we do now?" And I said, "Over the side, get the people out of them and get them clear." We gave him a green light. The guy comes in, makes a perfect landing, and we got him stopped. The crew was all over him when he was getting out, helping him and his family out of the airplane. This kid never made a carry landing in his life. Everybody was cheering. I mean, it was kind of crazy. So I took off my wings when the major came up, and I pinned him on Major Lee, and I made him an honorary naval aviator right on the spot. That was the end of frequent wind. And after about 18 months, I was selected for admiral, which means that now they want my butt off the ship. Before me, the reputation for taking one of the ships out there wasn't real good. The moment that I got selected for admiral, everybody else wanted the job, just because I was willing to start with the ship that had a problem and take a gamble. And it's never going to be perfect.
We run into people who have been touched by what he did personally, or their grandparents, or their parents, or their uncles. It's really heartwarming. And sometimes it gives you chills. The 35th anniversary at Midway Museum, it's a huge celebration. 3,000 people all gathered on the ship. Many of them people who had been rescued. This beautiful young woman rushed up and threw her arms around Larry's neck. And we all wondered, who is this? Well, her name's Courtney. Courtney was 8 years old when she was rescued by Midway. And she said, "You saved me, you saved my family." And she said, "And the sailors gave me M&Ms. And I had never had M&Ms before. And even today, M&Ms are my favorite candy." We have made a PowerPoint presentation entitled, "You Know You're Old When." But the last one says, "You know you're old when the ship you commanded is a museum and you're a visitor on it." Yes, we're old, but we are not irrelevant. And it is so important to us to remain relevant, to get out there and work with the young people, to get out there and work with the older people. People love to hear him speak. We try to explain to these young people how the world has changed. There are people alive today, like him, still walking and talking and contributing, who lived through all those times.
Navy was good to me. I had a good time. If you're doing something and you're having fun at it and you're enjoying it, if you're enjoying the people, I mean, it's the people that makes it. I forgave them for all of the troubles I had at the Naval Academy. It took me 20 years. You gotta realize, you gotta grow up. You can't go around feeling angry and upset at something. It's gonna kill you.
I tell myself this on days that are a little stressful. When you have a tough day, things aren't going exactly how you want them to go. You think of people like Larry that we serve every day. Gives you a little perspective on why we do what we do.
No matter whether you're in a community or home office, you're serving the resident. And so it's important to know who you're serving and whose lives you're touching. I think Larry and Sarah both will be definitely part of Freedom Plaza forever.
I have been happy ever since I met Larry. Not only do I admire him in many, many ways, he's my hero in more ways than one. So that's Larry Chambers.